FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr. Of course, the FCC signaled that it would sign off on the deal this past spring. Commissioner, thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You think at this stage, and obviously with all the caveats, that this is a win for wireless competition?
Yeah, the DOJ's announcement today of clearing this transaction, that's a real significant win for U.S. leadership in 5G. It's been my top priority. It's been a big priority for the Trump administration. And by accelerating 5G build out through this deal, 99% of Americans are going to see 5G faster. That's a good day for U.S. leadership.
We just heard Claret say he hopes the AG thing doesn't turn into a political fight. Will it?
Well, I think the fact that the FCC and now the DOJ have cleared it significantly undermines that state AG cases. And if you look at it, I think it highlights the different focus that we bring to this. The state suits are focused very much on New York City, San Francisco, and 5G in those markets. And look, regardless of this transaction, New York, San Francisco, maybe even San Jose, they're going to get 5G no matter what. What we've been focused on is how do you get rural America to get 5G? And that's why the acceleration of the build out on this transaction makes it a good deal.
Commissioner, is this still a good deal if Dish never can really stand itself up as a viable fourth national competitor in wireless with the marketing dollars necessary to compete with the other three?
I've never had a significant particular number in mind for nationwide providers. And yes, I think this is very much a good deal. When you look at the underlying transaction, we talked earlier about home broadband. A lot of consumers feel like they have one or no choice for home internet access. And combining the assets of Sprint and T-Mobile for the first time creates a third competitor of the same scope and scale as AT&T and Verizon. I think that's going to be a game changer for consumers in terms of high-speed internet.
Commissioner, you make it all sound so simple, but there are, of course, 13 state AGs plus the District of Columbia blocking this merger. What do you think they want to see to let them think that this is a good thing?
Well, I think now that the DOJ has spoken, I think that's going to be a significant input into those state actions. And again, I think you have to look at this through the lens of what does it take to compete in a 5G world? What is it going to take to compete over the next 3 to 5 years? It's a very different world in wireless than it was 5 years ago. And again, when you combine the assets of Sprint and T-Mobile, it's a type of disruptive competition that we wouldn't otherwise have if they stayed as standalone companies.
Who do you think does better here, T-Mobile, Sprint, or Dish?
Well, I think the American people really are the ultimate winners here, whether you look at that underlying Sprint T-Mobile transaction. For rural America in particular, 90% of the U.S. population there is going to get 5G. So we take the transaction as a whole, regardless of the piece parts that you look at, it's a real good win for the U.S.
Commissioner, what if somebody tries to buy Dish now? I mean, they are outfitted with quite a number of impressive assets, not just spectrum, but brands, all setting them up with supposedly everything that they would need to be this fourth competitor. Are they somehow off limits now from an M&A perspective because of all we've just been through? What's your feeling on that?
There are some restrictions on the ability of Dish to immediately turn around and sell the spectrum. And in fact, there's...
Yeah, they got to wait 3 years, right?
Yeah, in fact, there's very specific build-out obligations now that frankly, are very unique in wireless. It goes above and beyond the types of commitments, build-out obligations that apply to all other competitors in this space. There's pretty unique commitments designed to encourage them to build out.
Commissioner, finally, just talk a little bit about the risks of this deal not being done. How does that affect the 5G progress here in the U.S.?
Well, look, I think there's a very big delta between the type of 5G build we get with this combined company and the type we would get without it. Both Sprint and T-Mobile separately have announced 5G builds, but it's in very few cities, Sprint in particular. When you combine the assets, the spectrum assets, the customers of the two companies, you get for the first time a truly nationwide path to 5G builds. So that delta is something that we really have to keep in mind.